What if I told you there's a country on Earth named after a single family? A country that sits on top of some of the world's largest oil reserves, yet has no rivers. Not one. A country where two of the holiest sites in human history are located, and where the laws are unlike anywhere else on the planet. That country is Saudi Arabia, and today we're going deep. Welcome to Relentium Mind, where we break down the world's most complex places, people, and ideas in a way that actually makes sense. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button right now, because by the end of this video, you're gonna see Saudi Arabia in a way most people never have. To understand Saudi Arabia today, you have to go back to 1932. The Arabian Peninsula was a patchwork of territories, tribes, regions, and rival powers all competing for dominance. And then came one man who changed everything. Abdulaziz Ibn Saud. This was a leader with one singular vision: to unite the fractured lands of Arabia under one flag, and he did exactly that. He brought together four distinct regions: Hijaz, Najd, Al-Hassa, and Asir, and forged them into a single unified state. Then he did something no world leader had done before or since. He named the entire country after his own family, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, named after the House of Saud. Think about that. Imagine if the United States was called the Washingtons, or France was called the Bourbons. That's how unique this is. And here's a little bonus fact. In Arabic, the word Saud actually means unification, so even the name carries the story. Saudi Arabia is the only country in the world named after a ruling family. That's not opinion, that's just fact. Now let's talk about what this country actually looks like, because it's wild. Saudi Arabia covers about 830,000 square miles. To put that in perspective, that's roughly 1/3 the size of the entire continental United States. It's the largest Arab country in Asia. But here's the catch: 95% of that land is desert. In the southern part of the country lies the Rub al-Khali, which translates to the empty quarter. It is the largest continuous sand desert on Earth, bigger than France. Nothing but endless waves of sand for as far as the eye can see. And now, the fact that blows most people's minds when they first hear it: Saudi Arabia has 0 natural rivers. Not a single one. No lakes fed by rivers, no major waterways, none. This makes it officially the largest country in the world with no rivers. So how does a nation of over 34 million people get fresh water? 2 ways: massive desalination plants that pull salt out of seawater from the Red Sea and the Persian Gulf, and underground fossil water reserves that have been sitting beneath the desert for thousands of years. It's expensive, it's energy intensive, and it's the only option they have. Saudi Arabia's total population sits at around 34.7 million people. But here's something that surprises a lot of people. Nearly 10 million of those are foreign workers. That's almost 30% of the total population. Workers from Bangladesh, India, Pakistan, the Philippines, and other countries make up a huge portion of the labor force, doing everything from construction and domestic work to engineering and healthcare. Now, every Saudi citizen is Muslim. That's not just cultural, it's legal. Non-Muslims cannot obtain Saudi citizenship. They cannot build churches, temples, or any non-Islamic place of worship, and publicly practicing or promoting a non-Islamic religion is illegal under Saudi law. Public schools operate under Islamic principles. First graders spend half their school day studying the Quran. From day one, religion and education are inseparable.
Saudi Arabia is an absolute monarchy. No elections, no parliament, no political parties. The royal family, the House of Saud, has controlled the country since its founding, and that hasn't changed. The legal system is based on Sharia law, Islamic religious law, interpreted and enforced by the state. One of the more unique legal concepts is something called the Diya law, or blood money. Here's how it works. If someone is sentenced to death for a crime, the family of the victim can accept a financial payment from the perpetrator. If they do, the death sentence is lifted. It's a system that has ancient roots in Islamic jurisprudence, but it's one that draws a lot of criticism from human rights organizations around the world. Alcohol is banned, birth control is illegal, and while the law technically applies to everyone, critics have long argued it is enforced very differently depending on whether you're a member of the royal family or an ordinary citizen.
For decades, Saudi Arabia's treatment of women was one of the most criticized aspects of the country internationally. Women were banned from driving, banned from working in most sectors, required to be covered head to toe in public, and almost every major life decision required the approval of a male guardian. That has started to change. Since around 2017, under Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman and his Vision 2030 reform agenda, women can now drive, attend sporting events, work in many industries, and have more presence in public life than ever before. But, and this is important, the male guardianship system has not been fully abolished. Women still need a male guardian's permission for major decisions, including marriage, divorce, international travel in many cases, and some medical procedures. Progress is real, but it is slow, and many activists who pushed for these very changes are still in prison for speaking out before the reforms were officially approved.
Let's talk money, because Saudi Arabia's economy is unlike most on Earth. One word, oil. Saudi Arabia holds the second largest proven oil reserves in the world, right behind Venezuela. Oil accounts for roughly half of the country's GDP and the vast majority of its government revenue. The state oil company, Saudi Aramco, is one of the most profitable companies in the history of human civilization. In some years, it has generated more profit in a single quarter than Apple, Google, and Amazon combined. But oil isn't the only source of income. Dates, the fruit, are a major agricultural export. Saudi Arabia is one of the world's top date producers, and the crop holds deep cultural significance in the country. And then there's Hajj. Every year, over 2 million Muslims travel to Mecca for the annual pilgrimage, one of the largest human gatherings on Earth. The economic impact on Saudi Arabia from accommodation, transportation, and services is enormous. This might be the most important part of the entire video, because you can't understand Saudi Arabia without understanding what it means to 1.8 billion Muslims around the world. Mecca and Medina, both located in Saudi Arabia, are the two holiest cities in Islam. The Kaaba in Mecca is considered the house of God in Islamic belief. Muslims around the world pray in its direction 5 times a day, every single day of their lives. Masjid al-Nabawi in Medina is where the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ is buried, one of the most sacred sites in the Islamic faith. The Saudi king carries a title that reflects this weight, custodian of the 2 holy mosques. And the 5th pillar of Islam, Hajj, the mandatory pilgrimage, can only be performed in Saudi Arabia. Every Muslim who is physically and financially able is required to make this journey at least once in their lifetime. For the Muslim world, Saudi Arabia isn't just a country, it is the spiritual center of an entire faith. Saudi Arabia is also racing toward the future and spending almost unimaginable amounts of money to get there. In Mecca, the Abraj al-Bait clock tower, also known as the Mecca Royal Clock Tower, is currently the 3rd tallest building in the world. It looms directly over the Kaaba. In Jeddah, the Jeddah Tower, also called Kingdom Tower, is under construction. It will be the tallest building on Earth, over 3,280 feet, more than half a mile straight up. And then there's NEOM, a futuristic megacity being built from scratch in the northwestern desert. The project includes The Line, a proposed city that would be 106 miles long and just 660 feet wide, housing up to 9 million people with no cars and no streets. Whether all of this gets built is another question, but the ambition, absolutely unmatched.
So that's Saudi Arabia, a country built by one man's vision in 1932, a land of sand with no rivers, but some of the richest oil deposits on Earth, the spiritual homeland of 1.8 billion Muslims, and a kingdom in the middle of one of the most dramatic transformations of any nation in the 21st century. It is complicated, it is contradictory, and it is absolutely fascinating. What do you think? Is Saudi Arabia heading in the right direction, or does it still have a long way to go? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I read every single one. If you learned something new today, hit that like button. It genuinely helps this channel grow. And if you haven't subscribed to Relentium Mind yet, what are you waiting for? See you in the next one.